And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Filmlites, the film podcast that we're doing here on the Handsome Cobra channel. I am your host, Gregory Cobrana, also known on the interwebs and YouTube as, you guessed it, Handsome Cobra. And yeah, like I said before, this is Filmlites. This is basically a new concoction, new experiment that I'm doing. Basically about films that I really like and really enjoy watching, and just try to basically talk about like what I liked, what I didn't like about the film. Try to delve into it a little bit, and this is the second episode. And since the first episode we did It Chapter 1, well, this one is It Chapter 2. So yes, I went out, I spent a bob or two, and I actually watched it. And I'll get into it a little bit here, but I did want to basically do a little bit of house cleaning, and I remember what I didn't like about what just was just kind of like a thing that I didn't like about It Chapter 1, dealing with like Beverly and It, and that is basically where it captures Beverly, and basically the boys have to band together and rescue her. I felt that was a really cheesy old Hollywood trope. It's also a plus and a negative, just because in the fact of it could be very argumentative in a way of a person could argue that it's an old Hollywood trope, and that it's like, why do the males have to band together to get back Beverly? It's like that's the only way to get the boys back together is a damsel in distress or duress. But on the flip side, a person could argue and say, hey, listen, look, she was the strongest. Pennywise knew that, and if you take out the strongest link, then the other ones will falter and fade away, or it will be easier for them. There'll be easy pickings if she were to succumb to the fear of Pennywise. Because in the movie she says, hey, I'm not afraid of you, and then she's like, and then Pennywise is like, or it is like, oh, you will be. And then it shows her his true form, which is the deadlights. And that's why she's suspended in the air and in the deadlight zone. So yeah. So I just wanted to clear that up. That was the thing I was like trying to rack my brain about that I couldn't remember at the time. But yeah, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. So It Chapter 2. I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed the movie. I will say this though, it was very, very long. I went to the movie started at 12. I didn't show up the movie theater until I think about like 12:15, 12:20. And by the time I got my movie ticket and sat down to watch the movie, there were still previews going on. I mean, I did see, it was kind of cool because the trailer for the new Chris Nolan Tenet with Denzel Washington's son, who was in Black Klansman. I got to see a little bit of that, and that was pretty cool. That was awesome. I actually liked that. But yeah, I was really just like, holy crap. You know, the movie didn't start until like 12:30, and then the movie is about almost 3 hours. And once the film proper like ended, I didn't even stay for any after credits. I don't think there was any after credits. I don't really give a care or flying rat's ass or 2 cups of piss. If there are, someone let me know. But I really don't. I didn't want to stay any longer. Not because I didn't like the movie. It was just one of those things where it's like, hey, it's just that this ain't Avengers. So, but yeah, But the other thing too about like Filmlites, I mean, this is no filler, all killer. So, we don't put any preservatives in this baby. No added sugar to the water. It's all natural. So yeah, they just wanted to get that out of the way too. So yeah, so that's good times. But yeah, getting back on with the movie, like I said before, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I will say, is it scarier, as the title indicates? Is it Chapter 2 scarier than Chapter 1? In my personal opinion, and this is just me, hell fuck no, it's not. I was laughing my ass off most of the time in the movie. Even there was one part where I wasn't really scared. It just kind of, I got a little anxious, but it didn't really scare me. It just more or less startled me. But yeah, no, I will say that this movie is not scary. There's also a part or two where, like, one part they play music, the song "Just Call Me Angel," and out of fucking nowhere, where I'm just like, and they just play like a 5-second clip of it, and then it goes off, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I mean, that shit came out of nowhere. But I will say, the casting, like, one thing that I really, and this is, and just to let everyone know, this will be heavy spoilers in it. Pros that I liked about it, the casting was, I gotta say, was it Isaiah Mustafa, who plays Mike, the adult Mike. He does an amazing job as Mike. I thought that he was more of the central character, like more of the star of the movie than James McAvoy, who plays Bill Denborough, or Jessica Chastain's Beverly Marsh, or Jay Ryan's Ben Hanscom, and Bill Hader's Richie. Stanley shows up Adult Stanley shows up in a little bit, but he commits suicide at the very beginning. And the adult Eddie, which I don't know the actor's name, but he played a really good Eddie. I mean, it was really perfect casting, and I thought that they embodied the teenagers of It Chapter 1, like their grown-up versions, very well. I did like that they gave a lot of backstory about it, and it being a pan-dimensional alien entity that came here millions of years ago and crash landed in the place that would become Derry, like long time ago. And I believe the Shakopina, or a Native American tribe, were the ones to first encounter it, and they encountered it by its true form, by the Deadlights, but then it took on forms that scared them and created fear within them, and they tried to do this ritual, the ritual of Chud, but in the end, they did not prevail overcoming it. So I did like how they gave a lot of lore about that, about it, and being an alien or an entity. Now, I did go back and I did read a little bit about, like, because I knew that it is an actual species of character in the Stephen King universe. It's actually, they call them glamours, and there's two, and so far I believe there's two. There's it, and then there's another one called Dandello. Yeah, Dandello. And what Dandello is, they both feed off of emotion. So it feeds off of fear. Dandello, on the other hand, feeds off of laughter. And you see you read about Dandello in the last book of the Dark Tower series, The Dark Tower. I think I mentioned this before in the first podcast, Filmlites episode. But yeah, I mean, but it bears repeating. But yeah, so they don't get into Maturin and all that jazz. And just to correct myself, I was wrong. Maturin didn't regurgitate it. He regurgitated our world. So our world is created from the regurgitation of a space turtle, a giant space turtle. So yeah, that's where I kind of, so I just wanted to do a little house cleaning on that. No, it is basically the brother of Maternin. So like it's still the yin to the yang, but I thought that Maternin was the one who created it, but it wasn't. And then there's this whole being Gan, which Gan is the creator of the whole universe, GAN. And I can't remember if they get into it into Gan in it or not, but I do know, like in the Dark Tower series, yeah, Gan is very present. Rowan Deschain, who's the main protagonist, talks about Gan and stuff like that, and that's Stephen King's God. Uh, mm, mono. Yeah, what is it? Monotheistic God. Yeah, because polytheistic would be many. Monotheistic is just one. So yeah. But yeah, so yeah, perfect casting. I thought the casting was great. Other things that I liked about it, the pacing of it was great. Honestly, there was only one part where I was like really bored in, and it was just had to deal with Eddie getting his token, because the thing about the ritual Chud is that I did say this in the previous It Chapter 2 podcast that I hadn't seen the movie, so I kind of didn't know where they were going with it, and so I know how like adaptations are different than the actual novel proper. So, but yeah, the way that they did the because for the ritual Chud, everyone had to get like a token, something that they remembered about themselves. Since Stanley wasn't there, they had to get one from Stanley. You know, like when they were kids, and they actually there's a time within the first movie where I believe it's like almost like 3 weeks to like a month or so that they kind of split off for the summer after they have have like a falling out between Richie and Bill, and so the group kind of breaks off and dismembers for like that little bit. But in between that time, they built like this clubhouse, or at least Ben found this clubhouse and kind of refurnished it, remodeled it, and so the group, the Losers Club, would hang out there. And they kind of and yeah, it's a bit of a retcon, and I actually liked it. I didn't mind the retcon, because it's like, listen, look, they're not going to show you every single little thing. And also too, what's kind of cool, and it does put into context that the farther away that you get from Derry, the further and further the memories become. It becomes more like just images, or it just very vague imagery. But when when they got back into Derry, for like a lot of them, especially like Richie says, he said that this stuff is just rushing into my head, and the more and more I'm here, and the more and more that we talk, I mean, I'm having just all these thoughts just, fucking bombarding me all at once. And that's what was really cool. And it ties into something that I'll probably talk a little bit later if I can remember. But yeah, so that was, I will say that was pretty cool. There was a lot of humor, a lot of levity in it, especially with Richie and Eddie, which I didn't find it jarring at all. I thought the sardonic humor and nature fit the tone of the movie very, very well. So kudos to them on that. Bill Hader and the guy Eddie, the actor who played Eddie. What else? James McAvoy plays a great Bill Denborough, an adult Bill Denborough. I thought Jessica Chastain, yeah, like I said before, she plays a great Beverly. Jay Ryan surprised the hell out of me. I've never really seen him in anything, and yeah, he surprised the hell out of me as Ben. as an adult Ben, I thought that he did a hell of a job. I mean, like I said, all of them did a heck of a job. And like I said too, the pacing of the movie in itself, even though it seemed very long in the tooth, because it's like, I think it's 2 hours and 49 minutes. Though it seemed long in the tooth, you do understand why they have to, and they even say that because they even Richie makes reference to, okay, why are we going to split up? We're stronger together. That doesn't make any damn sense. Why? And it's like, no, for the ritual, you have to go on your own. And I've heard, other people say that it's kind of like a video game where it's like you have to go on and get the artifact or the token, and like you have Mike as an NPC saying, hey, you got to do this on your own, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. But it makes sense because it's having to deal with your own fear, your own psyche. It's more rewarding. It's, my brother puts it like this, like, hey, listen, look, I could teach you, I could tell you what you need to do, but it's more rewarding when you figure it out on your own and you conquer it by yourself. And I always see my brother's point of view. I mean, I disagree with that point of view a lot of times, but in this case, I understand it. And I actually agree. That, yeah, that they had to do, I didn't see it as like lazy writing at all. I know some people may look at it as lazy writing, as like, oh, well, just to eat time. I didn't see it like that. I thought that it warranted to be in the film. So yeah, fuck it. It's just Eddie's was just really, really kind of stupid because he had to go back to the fucking pharmacy where his mother was putting on placebos because Eddie was a hypochondriac, and because his mother had Munchausen disease and all this shit. And so that was just one of the things, and that's a negative that I didn't like. And that's where I was just getting bored as fuck with it. It's only like 10 minutes, but it's just like, okay. It's just like the first half, I go, okay, come on, hurry the fuck up. I really don't need, but it makes sense. But the latter half of Eddie getting his token makes a hell of a lot of sense in the end. So it does need to be in there for the rest of the film to make sense, for the ending that happens. So yeah, I mean, and that's just personal preference. I mean, that's just me. That's something that I'm just like, okay, it's cool. I get it. I understand it. Word up. What else? Oh yeah, like I said, the pacing, because I know this is like the third time I'm going over pacing. The pacing of the film, it takes part in, I want to say, because they get there at night, so I would say that probably takes, it's like 2 nights and a day, or 2 days, 3 nights, that the film, like itself, from beginning, when they arrive in Derry to them basically killing it. Heavy spoilers. Yeah, they fucking finish the job and kill it, and I'll get into how, and the reason how I like it too later on. But yeah, I would say that the movie takes, yeah, about that length of time. So they're not like fucking futzing, farting around, holding each other's hands, skipping into the doodah day. Oh, remembering, hey, remember this shop, remember this, remember that, remember, no, they're not going down fucking memory lane. They have a mission, they have a job. I mean, what I loved about it is that basically, they're at the Jade of the Orient, Asian restaurant. They're all having fun except for Stan not showing up. They're drinking, they're having a good time, all this shit. And next thing you know, it's like, that's when Mike busts out, hey, fucking Pennywise. Because he doesn't tell him, he just says, hey, you got to come back to Derry. And the only person that he tells is about the ritual Chud at first is Bill, because he basically breaks it down to him like, listen, look, everyone else will listen to you if you just come back with me. If you don't want to, and if you don't like what I have to say, you can leave. because Richie was like, man, dude, I don't want to deal with this fucking shit. Let's just kick the can on down the fucking road to somebody else. Even Eddie was like that. It's like, I can't deal with this. I can't do this shit. It's like, and then basically they were like, hey, we defeated it. And then once again, their memories are like rushing back. So it's like, yeah, hey, I remember we beat it once before. We can do it again. It's like, yeah, fuck that shit. No, it's like I love like Richie, because Richie was like, dude, I have dates. I got to be in Nevada. I don't have time for this shit. And, like, I have real world problems, man. I can't be fucking dealing. I have my own life. And that's what to me was kind of cool, is that, yeah, no shit, dude. It's like there are real, I don't want to die. And even Eddie was like, I don't want to die either. I'm sorry. I just don't want to die. And that was one of those things where I actually appreciate it, and I was like, yeah, dude. I mean, I thought it was awesome that they actually put stuff like that in there. That just made sense. I mean, it's something that any natural human being would want to fucking do. I mean, they would, not a lot of people. You got to be a crazy son of a bitch to put your life on the line for like total strangers, and people who are just like the people at Derry are just fucking very. They turn a blind eye, or they just don't give a fuck about what's going on in their town. And also too, it's like when they first get there, like after the first night, when they wake up and go into town and stuff to get all their tokens. I mean, it is like a fucking ghost town almost there. It's crazy. Like Bev goes back to her father's house. Apparently, see, I thought she killed her dad. Now, see, this is from fucked up retconning, I guess, that they did. I guess her dad didn't die right then and there, because they never make it real clear whether or not her dad actually died. I thought she killed the son of a bitch because he was being all creepy pedo and shit, and sexually abusing his daughter and crap. But apparently, no, he didn't die then. I just guess he got fucked up real bad. But she goes to get like her token, which is the postcard and the poem that Ben wrote, and a pack of cigarettes that she had when she was with the Losers, and from a secret, a little hiding passage that she remembered. And then Pennywise is there and stuff like that. And I did like that he actually, Bill Skarsgård, who's the actor who plays Pennywise, they actually kind of give you a little bit of background on how he got how he came up with the character of Pennywise and stuff like that. And it's actually this one guy. I know his name is Bob Gray in the novelization. And they kind of, and I don't know if this is true or not. I can't remember if this is true or not in the novel, but like his Pennywise who is imposturing the daughter of Bob Gray, is saying that, yeah, my father came here with $14 and then he joined the circus and stuff like that. You see a picture of what looks like Pennywise without makeup, Bob Gray, and he has like this caravan that says Pennywise the Dancing Clown on it. And that was like really cool. And actually at one point, while Beverly is trying to leave the apartment, she opens up a door opens, and it's actually Bob Gray, Pennywise pretending to be Bob Gray, and it's Bill Skarsgård without makeup, and he's like slapping on the white pancake makeup on him and stuff like that, and then he rakes his fingers down across his eyes to give him that pattern, because blood starts spurting out and stuff. And it's pretty cool. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought that was really great. I like how they incorporated the character of Bob Gray in that, and you actually got to see Bill Skarsgård without the makeup, and yeah, just encompassing that character. I thought that was really good. I will say the only thing I liked about like horror-esque was that they did an homage to The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, where it was like Stanley's head, decapitating head of him being like young, and there's like these like legs that come out, like spider legs that come out of the head and stuff. And I can't remember the line in The Thing, but Richie verbatim repeats it in this one, and I thought that was like really cool. I like that Stephen King makes an appearance in it, a cameo. He plays a pawn shop owner who basically reads William Denborough's books, and he even because even earlier in the movie, because William Denborough, he's an author, but he also writes scripts for Hollywood as well, like a screenplay writer, and his wife is an actress. And the thing is that he can't end, like, his books are great, but the endings suck. And that was like one of the things about Stephen King books, is that he got a lot of criticism for, probably even now, is that his endings always suck. So it's kind of funny that Stephen King, playing this pawn shop owner, says, because William Denborough asked him, "Hey, I'll autograph for you." He's like, "No, I don't need it. I don't want someone to autograph. He doesn't know how to finish a book. Your endings suck." It's like, yeah, I've been told that once or twice already. Because he goes into the pawn shop because he sees his old bike Silver there, and it's a reference to the Lone Ranger, when he's like, because the Lone Ranger's horse is named Silver, because he's like, "Hi-ho, Silver, away!" And that's what he used to say back in the old black and white, a TV show. And another thing that I loved is that Stephen King says that, "Are you sure? You're sure you don't need to tune that thing up, son?" It's like, it looks unwritable. He's like, he says something like that, and I love like this line because it's actually from the book. He's like, "What are you talking about? This is Silver. This can outride the devil," And it's like, oh shit! It's like they pulled that straight from the book, man. And I was like, man, that's so fucking cool. And yeah, it was. And then you just see him like hop on it, and he's trying, and the handlebar is so fucking rusted that they flop down. He can't fucking get his balance and shit. But finally, man, he goes off on that thing. You just see him fucking just fucking riding fucking hard and fast, and it's just so cool. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, the whole Losers Club getting back together, them getting back their memories. There was one thing that I did like of Ben retaining his memories, because the thing was, he still kept the page that Beverly Marsh autographed and put like the 3 hearts on in his yearbook, in his middle school yearbook. And then he's kept it all these years, 27 years, in his wallet. And I thought that was cool, that he actually remembered, out of everybody who left, he remembered the most. And I thought that was cool, because he actually loves Beverly, and that's the thing. And so, yeah, I mean, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, I thought he did a great job. You actually see more of him in this. They try to make him real scary, but really he's not. I actually liked the beginning, the beginning of the movie. The beginning of the book too actually has a homosexual getting beat by a group of guys, and he gets thrown over the bridge, and Pennywise basically kills him, eats his flesh. And because at that point, Pennywise is like, "Man, I don't give a fuck. I'll take whoever I'll take." Because he needs to feed and stuff like that. So even though children are sweeter, and when they're afraid, it's like salt on the meat, as he so describes it. And I think it's chapter 1. And plus, children are much more tender. Still, he's like, "Fuck this. I've waited 27 years. These fucking kids, fuck them." I'm just taking what eyes can get. It's like, so he's just fucking doing what I can, and yeah, they actually make the gay guy, the homosexual who gets eaten by Pennywise, actually makes a joke because this one guy, he calls him a faggot, and he was like, and this guy, the guy, he's not from Derry, but his boyfriend is. And the thing is that he actually says, the guy who calls him a faggot, like he says, you know what? Meg Ryan called and she wants her hair and she wants her wig back. And I just started bursting out laughing in the movie theater because the dude, and then they show the guy, and the guy straight up looks like he has like a fucking Meg Ryan wig on. I'm like, holy fucking shit. I mean, it was that type of level of kind of, I don't want to say campy, but it was just very sardonic humor and like very, to me, gallows humor. And that's just more or less what I like and what I'm into. So for me, I will say there is one part where there's another part where there is a couple and they have a kid and they live in the same house that Will and Georgie Denbrough used to live in, and their parents. And the thing is that the kid gets eaten by Penny right in front of Will, because they do a flashback to where Bill goes down to the sewer drain or the storm drain, and he actually speaks into it and says, "Hey, why didn't you take me instead of why did you have to take Georgie? Why anybody else? Why did you have to take him?" And basically, and in this flashback, you hear a voice that says, "Because you weren't there." And then so this time, Bill sees this kid because the kid shows up actually at the Jade of the Orient, and Richie talks to him, actually kind of badmouths the kid because he thinks he's Pennywise at first, and then the kid shows up again because whatchamacallit is talking to the sewer drain, Bill, adult Bill, and then he's like, "Listen, look, tell your parents, get the fuck out of here, make up some fucking bullshit story, do whatever, but get the hell out of Derry." The kid's like, "Hey, I gotta go to the carnival. That's where my parents are at. I gotta go to the carnival." And so at the carnival, there's like this house of mirrors, and that's when Pennywise basically he decapitates the kid. I mean, he just fucking full on prom. You see blood splat all over and shit. Now that one, I was like, whoa, shit, damn. I was laughing a little bit, but I was like, but that one was just like crazy. Another one I laughed at. It's just so. I mean, it's just kind of stupid. There's like little girl. She has a birthmark on the side of her right cheek, and there's this like firefly that goes, this lightning bug or firefly that goes on her hand. Well, it flies off and she goes chasing, and her mom's like, "Hey, we got to stay here," and blah, 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 yada, yada. But she goes underneath the bleachers, chases it, and the firefly lands on Pennywise's hands, and basically, Pennywise makes up this bullshit story. I was like, "Oh, people don't like my face, and, people are afraid of me, and I don't have any friends." And basically, the little girl can empathize because, she doesn't have a lot of friends either, or any friend, because of her birthmark. And he's like, "Hey, I can make that go away," and stuff like that. And I'll do it on the count of 3, but you have to come closer. So he's in this like fucking the shadowy part of the bleachers, underneath the bleachers. And so she comes closer, and he's like, 1, 2. And then there's like a long fucking pause, and she's like, "You're supposed to say 3." And then you see like gaping fucking mouth and just bah, and gets her ass. And I'm just like, ah, because it was just so funny. I was like, "You're so stupid. You believe that shit." And it was just dumb. It was just so dumb. It was like, it wasn't scary at all. It was fucking ridiculous. I mean, that just put the dick in ridiculous for me. And it was so fucking stupid and dumb that shit was not, I know it was supposed to be scary, but it wasn't. That's like the part, where they played Just Call Me Angel with Eddie. That was supposed to be fucking scary too. You could tell that was supposed to be scary, but the problem is that they probably figured out, like, "Listen, look, man, I mean, test audiences are not are not doing too well. It's like they're laughing at it because it just looks fucking ridiculous. So they just put that fucking 5-minute clip of Just Call Me Angel, because the leper from the first one comes back and haunts Eddie again. It changed to the leper, and then Eddie's basically manhandling this motherfucker, and he's like, "Die, you son of a bitch, die!" and has his fucking hands around his fucking neck. And then at the last ditch effort of Pennywise, fucking like spews his black fucking shit all over him, and it's nuts. And then he disappears. But while the spewing is going on, you hear the theme music, the song "Just Call Me Angel," like a real quick clip of it, and then after that, and after it spews on him, just disappears, and you're like, what the fuck just happened here? Why did they just start playing music out of fucking nowhere? And it's probably because it was a funny scene. It was just like, and they're trying to build tension and build that horror aspect, but it just wasn't really clicking. So I mean, so from a horror, so like the horror, there's like little to none in it. I mean, there's more horror, like when the gang is beating up the homosexuals. That's more horror-esque to me, because that's real life shit, man. And that actually really did happen. And that's why Stephen King put it in the book, because I think it was like a week or so before he actually started writing the book, there was a homosexual that did get beat up and died, I believe, by a gang. And I think I don't know if it was in Maine or in New England somewhere, but yeah, I mean that did happen, and so that's why Stephen King put that in the book. And it's actually, I think there's 2 prologues, if I'm not mistaken, in the book, and I think that's one of the prologues that the book starts out as, and it sets the tone of the book. Okay, so I talked about most of the things that I want to talk about like what I liked. I'm going to get into some of the things I didn't like. So one of the main things I didn't like, and I said this before too, I did not like that Beverly and all of them just ultimately forget about defeating Pennywise, about just a lot of significant things. I didn't like that Beverly could not fucking remember that Ben was the one who wrote her the poem. She kept on thinking that it was Bill. Because the thing is, and this puts context into it, because she remembers kissing Bill. She doesn't remember Ben kissing her and bringing her back from the deadlights. She does not remember that. And that's in the beginning, and that's okay. It's not until later on that she remembers. But that kind of brings into another thing of mine that I didn't like. Now, I will say this: I believe in the book. This is a kind of plus and a minus again. Now, the thing I didn't like is that Beverly and Ben have a moment when because they're staying in the dairy townhome, like a place, and it's a townhome that has like apartment, like separate rooms and stuff. So they're staying there the whole time that they're there. Like, let's just say 3 days that they're there. But the problem is that, so you have Ben and Beverly having this intimate conversation, and she remembers, and then she gets the postcard, and it has the poem on it, and she's telling Ben, I remember the boy who wrote it to me, and you see Ben, like adult Ben J. Ryan, like, yeah, that's fucking me, kind of that smile, smile on his face. Yeah, you're remembering. That's great. And then she says, Bill, I think. And then you just see him go, what the fuck? And then he's like, and then you see him say, hey, Bev. And then who the fuck intervenes? Richie comes back and just goes up to and just says, excuse me, and fucking goes up to his room and starts packing. He's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And so Ben has to chase his ass and convince him not to fucking go. And I'm just like, fuck you, man. That's such bullshit. And it's not until the very fucking end that Beverly, when Ben and Beverly are about to fucking die because they get separated, and Ben is getting is about to die from being from fear of like quicksand in this, because of this scenario that Pennywise or it makes for him, where he's in the clubhouse, the losers clubhouse, and the ground underneath the sand is like sinking him in, and he's reaching, and he's saying, and he finally says, Beverly, I love you, and I can't remember if he or she, and she's in his bathroom, and you see the pervy pharmacy dude, you see the girl from the first one who fucking taunted her, you see her fucking father like taunting her, saying the shit, Bevy, you're still my girl, and stuff like that, and all this shit. And there's like blood in the floor, so there you have these two scenarios going on. And she remembers like the first part of the poem, January Embers, and he says like the last part, my heart is there too. And then he says, Beverly, I love you. And she's like Ben, and then so they clamp each other's hands. So, and because she starts kicking the fucking door to the stall, and then her father says, Bevy, you still my girl? And she's like, no. And she fucking remembers, and then so she grabs Ben out of the quicksand right before he's about to die and pulls his ass up into the bathroom stall. And so they fall back to reality. They get out of the scenario because really they're way underneath the ground where Pennywise first landed in on the planet Earth, and Derry's like way up above them. I mean, they're on like one of the lower levels of the Earth, like and because I mean they go down like this fucking tunnel that just is even that where Pennywise is, which I think is like where the caravan that Pennywise had in the first one. Now, well, that's all torn down. Now you see that there's like this like a little manhole where Pennywise goes down into like the earth where he like first landed and stuff. And there's like these tunnels and caves and whatnot, and that's where he makes his home and stuff. And that's where the deadlights are, and that's where they do the ritual of the chud and all that jazz. But it's so fucking annoying that at that end point, it's like, fucking Jesus, thank you, God, finally. Why did you have to interrupt? Why couldn't you have done that? Why couldn't you just have him say, yeah, Beverly, that was me who wrote it? And then her looking at him like, what, really? And then you have Richie fucking say, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And then, because the problem is that when Ben goes up to basically talk Richie out of it, fucking Bill comes back in, James McAvoy, and basically Beverly looks at him, he looks at her, and then they kiss, and then they remember kissing each other at the very end of It Chapter 1 when they were fucking teens and shit. And then Bill's like, hey, I got to go rescue this kid from the carnival because I'm not going to let this shit happen twice. Right. And Beverly's like, well, wait, we'll go with you. He's like, no, there's no time. I have to do this on my own. It's like, and she's basically saying that, hey, listen, look, Georgie, him dying is not your fault. And he's like, yes, it is. I got to go. And then he goes. And then Ben comes back down, says, oh, yeah, I convinced Richie to stay, which he fucking didn't. But yeah, and then it just cuts. And then this shit doesn't get resolved until like 20 fucking minutes before the damn movie ends, or 10 minutes before the fucking movie ends. And it just pisses me off so bad when they do that shit, because it's the same shit that they do in shows like the CW, right? Like fucking Arrow or Flash, things that have like 22 fucking episodes, when it's like real life doesn't do that shit. Real life, people are like, whoa, 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 before we do anything, he would have been like, Beverly, I'm the one who wrote it, build it and write it. You know, that's how real life would have been. He wouldn't have fucking gone up and tried to get, no, hell no. He would have told her what he would have told her. He would have told her the truth right then and there, when I fucking waited, because you never know, because you may never get a second chance. That's the whole fucking point of it. That's how real life works. You know, you don't really get a lot of second chances. You when the opportunity is there, you fucking take hold, you take that fucking bull by the fucking horns, and you master that motherfucker. But also too, there's another thing that I like though, and this is another deals with that scenario, because in the book, I believe Beverly and Bill actually sleep with each other, and while they're in Derry, and then at the end she goes with Ben, which is like total fucking horseshit to me. Now in the movie, Bill and Beverly just kiss because they both remember kissing each other, and that's it. They don't sleep with each other. They you know, she doesn't fucking say, hey Bill, I really love the poem that you wrote, blah blah blah. No, and he doesn't say, no, I don't remember. No, I didn't write you any poem. I don't remember January Embers. What are you talking about? No, none of that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have had problems with it if motherfucker would have slept with Beverly, and the next thing you know, she's going with fucking Mr. Body to hottie fucking Ben now, because he's a fucking millionaire or billionaire and he owns his own company. And yeah, I mean, because Ben is a successful businessman. I mean, he has Hanscom and Associates, building housing. I want to say that he does like gentrification. Yeah, gentrification to like buildings and stuff, and stuff like that. So I know he's an architect, but I think that's what he does. To make property in housing developments like rise and stuff, so to get money moving in and people wanting to live there. So yeah, but that's one thing I did like. They didn't have Bill and Bev like sleep with each other like in the novelization, because Stephen King's into that shit. I mean, you know, Stephen King, he just, yeah, I don't, and so yeah, I would have been, like I said before, I would have been pissed, but they didn't do that, so good on them. You know, that's a save, and because that's where the plus and minus goes. Another thing that I didn't like, I shouldn't say I didn't. I mean, well, I don't like, but one thing that just kind of just really got to me, because Mike is going around calling all the people, because Mike has a police scanner, and so when Mike hears about the homosexual guy, what happens is that they see that his body has been disfigured, like maimed, and like in an unusual manner. Like half of his body is like eaten, like a chunk of it. He's like, oh shit, this Pennywise. And so he goes down to the crime scene, and there's a blood splatter that says come home on one of the there's a bridge, excuse me, and on one of the safety pillars for the bridge it says come home in blood. And that's when he starts calling everyone. And the thing is that when he calls Beverly, it's like really late at night. She wakes up, her husband's asleep, and so she starts packing up and stuff, and she's like, hey, you know, I gotta go, I gotta leave. And then her husband's like, no, I trust you. Yeah, you know, no, you gotta do, no, that's cool. And she's like, I'm so sorry. No. And he's like, but I want you to tell me the truth. And she's like, I am telling you the truth. You know, some guys that from my childhood back in Derry, we have to do this. We have to do that. And he's like, listen, look, I heard that you were talking to a guy named Mike, on the phone. So, no one goes out this late at night, and it's like, it's not going to happen like last time, where apparently, you can get the indication that she maybe cheated on her husband or something. And you're like, okay. But then he fucking starts grabbing her, like forcefully. And then he grabs her arm like her father did. And she was going to go out and see Bill, before she almost semi-killed her father. She locked herself in the room and stuff because he was saying all. I mean, basically, it's the exact same forcible handle that he had on her that now her husband's doing, and she's like she's probably having flashbacks and shit. And then he throws her on the bed, and this guy is like, you're gonna show me what you were gonna do to Mike to me. And he starts taking off his fucking clothes like he's gonna fucking rape his wife. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Thank God that she just kicked this motherfucker like as hard as she could, and then fucking scratched his fucking cheek, and then grabbed like a vase or something, or a vase, and just knocked him in the fucking head, ran down the fucking stairs, and out the fucking door she went, in piss pouring rain. But yeah, that's one of those things that I'm just like, another thing where I'm just like, motherfucker, man. It's just one of those things where what I didn't like is that the cycle repeats. Eddie leaves Derry. He marries a woman who's his fucking mother. Beverly leaves Derry. She marries a man like her father, just like her father. Very abusive, sexually abusive as well. Verbally, physically, emotionally, sexually, abusive. Another thing I don't like. What else? Trying to think. Richie just he's still the wisecracking guy. Bill is just, he forgets George. Literally, the guy forgets about his own fucking brother in this damn thing until he gets back to fucking Derry. That's the other thing I didn't like. Is that, they all forget about the pact. They all forget about the scar on their fucking hands. The scar, what is kind of cool is that the scar goes away magically. But, you have to understand, this is a fictional world. And even though it is kind of grounded, there is magical properties and alien and alien entities and stuff like that. So you have to, I shouldn't say that you have to suspend your disbelief, but there are laws put in place that you can't be like, okay, this is our world. It is a parallel universe that is like our world, but they have magic in it, or like magical properties. So that I was kind of cool with. I was just like, you just have to work within. So long they work within those laws, I really don't give a shit. But yeah, so that's that just the whole Bill thing about him forgetting about his brother until he gets there. That just kind of, I was just like, fuck me, man. That's one thing I didn't like personally. I didn't like that Beverly could not remember that Ben was the one who got her out of the fucking deadlights, with True Love's kiss, and fucking and she can remember that he was the one who fucking who poured his heart and soul into that fucking poem for her. It's like, these are things that I just, it's kind of like one of those. It's also like it's a tropey thing too, where they do. I've seen this shit plenty of fucking times in other movies. It's like, you don't have to do the same repeated rinse and repeat shit. You can be your own fucking thing. You can use fucking common sense. Everybody has fucking common sense, or most people do. I want to say like 80% of the fucking human species has fucking common sense, and they can use it. And if they're fucking clueless, well, that's why there are YouTube videos like Filmlites to educate your ass on what you don't understand. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm trying to think of other things I didn't like too. The only other thing that I didn't like, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, there's not a lot that I don't like about it. The only other thing that I kind of said this already, the only other thing I can like really think is that Pennywise for me just was not scary. I think that in the first one there was more scary parts with him than this one. I mean, there's and it's like what they say, less is more. It's like with Jaws, right? With the shark, Bruce, because that's what the shark's name was, though they coined it Bruce. It's like they didn't show the shark a lot because the damn thing would fucking break down all the fucking time. But what they did was that less was more. Excuse me. And some fact that basically they did the Lovecraftian horror aspect of like letting your mind make up like, oh shit, what it could have been. Or like you see blood in the water, oh shit, what did he bite her leg off? Did he fucking did he bite one leg? Did he bite both legs? Did he bite her fucking arm? Did he bite her fucking rib cage? You know, less is more. And that's the thing about in It Chapter 1 that I thought was great. That less was more. That actually Pennywise was much more creepier in the first one than in this one. Because this one, he just acted like a fucking goofball. For all intents and purposes. I mean, it was just like the beginning scene with him and Georgie was fucking creepy as shit. Now, yeah, I know what I said, that I laughed my ass off because the CGI teeth, when he sunk them in, that was pretty bad. I mean, it was pretty bad. But I will say another thing. Oh yeah, here's another thing. I know I'm on negatives, but another thing that I liked really quick is the cinematography in this one, where like the first one in the last episode, I said that it felt very like made for TV, very Lifetime-esque. When I saw it in the movie theater, I didn't even see any Lifetime shit, and I didn't even have my glasses with me, because usually I wear glasses like when I read and when I go to the movie theater, because I get because it helps my vision. It makes things out to be a lot sharper. I believe I have astigmatism in my right eye, and so my vision's starting to suck. So I'm having to get the old man glasses out, and like when I read and when I go see a picture show or a moving picture show, that I have to use to make image sharper. But even without my glasses, I mean, it was great. I mean, the cinematography was awesome. I could make shit out. I didn't really need them to give me good detail, because literally it was just me and I think like 3 other people. So there was like 4 total people in there. I had a good fucking seat. I could see everything. And yeah, the cinematography was awesome. There was no like made for TV Lifetime bullshit like in the beginning of It Chapter 1. And also too, and like It Chapter 1 had a budget of $35 million. This one had a budget of $79 million. So you can see that, yeah, they probably got better lenses, but used better cameras this go around. They actually, Pennywise actually becomes half spider, half Pennywise CG monster, which and that's at the end when they're doing the ritual of Chud. That even is really good. It didn't seem jarring, or it didn't look fake or anything like that. It actually looked, and the actors like selling it too.
like they're selling them being afraid and stuff like that, and I actually believed them, and I thought that the CGI was really good. There's even a part where CGI is used at the Jade of the Orient when they're all like done and stuff, and eating, and it's winding down, and then the fortune cookies. There's these like horrific monsters that come out of their fortune cookies and stuff, and even like the CGI. There's like one that has like that there's like an eyeball with it looks like veins coming out of the eyeball, like in the back, and it's like scooting along, and you see at the end it has the half of the fortune cookie still on like the tendrils or whatever, and it looks really good. It looks really solid. I mean, the CGI in this is good. You can see that the money was well spent because they had a bigger production budget. I mean, they had more than half of its last production budget. The only another negative that I have, I don't think that this movie is going to make as much money as it Chapter 1. And I think the reason why is because everyone's into this whole fucking they have boners for this whole, hey, 80s nostalgia shit, like with fucking with having young people plus 80s equals fucking buku amounts of money. Where now they're all grown up, and it's Chapter 2, but even in this one they brought back the actors, the younger kids from chapter 1 into this one, and there's a few segments. I mean, I would say that most of it is just like 5 or 10 minutes, but they wanted, but that it was the studio executive saying, listen, look, you got to put those damn kids back in it, so we can make this picture show money. It's a go picture. I say go picture. Bring back the kids. I don't care how old they are. What are they, 14? Well, we'll just de-age them, and we'll ADR the voices, and we'll just mix it. Yeah. We'll mix it, And there was a couple of parts where you could hear, especially like the kid Richie, Finn Wolfhard, and the kid Eddie, Jack Dylan Grazer from Shazam. Those two, like, you could tell their voices were off because the kids are like 2 years older, and like going from like 12 or 13 to 14, 15, your voice changes because you go through puberty. So it's like you could tell like the mixing of their voices at some areas, it was just off. But I could tell. It didn't bother me though. I was like, it was a little jarring, but I got over it. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I didn't care. Now the de-aging stuff, I don't know about. I don't know if they did that. They probably did. It probably used like Photoshop, but that or airbrush or whatever. I mean, they that shit's normal. Or they use CGI. I mean, they do that shit all the time in movies, but we just don't notice it. I mean, they do it to like fucking people like Keanu Reeves and John Wick and a bunch of other people. Fucking. Yeah, they do that to everybody to make them look because that's the movie magic. That's what it's all about, So, but yeah, the CGI cinematography was great, was spot on. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of negatives. I just don't. I will say that it's not a negative, but the movie was just extremely long. And before I saw it, I was like, God damn, why is it almost 3 hours? But I understand why it's 3 hours. Okay. It had to be as long as it had to be. Now, I know Andy Muschietti said that, yeah, he does have a longer cut, I think is like 3.5 hours. Now, that shit doesn't need to be 3.5 hours. No. because what you would have done, and it's like what I said before, is that they would have been going down memory fucking lane, okay, which they do at certain points, but it ties into the movie. Because see, the clubhouse is a memory lane, but the clubhouse was because they had to get Stan's token, and all of them were there, had to be there for that. And I thought that actually wrapped up really well. I thought that was great. That all the rest of the losers were there at the losers clubhouse and getting Stan's token. I also liked the Shaka Panina or Pina, and how Mike basically went through the ritual with the Native American group that lives outside of Deary, and they live, and basically, I mean, it's fucking crazy, man. I mean, they live in like teepees or tents and stuff. I mean, they look fucking homeless. I mean, it looks like they live out in like the woods of Los Angeles or Burbank or like South SoCal. SoCal, California, Southern California. And I mean, they just live in tents and shit. I mean, it's like Tent City in fucking LA, except out in the fucking woods. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous, man. But they live outside of that because of their dealing with it when it first came, or not when it first had human contact, was with these people. And basically they tried, and what was cool is that and I know that this, some people may see this as a negative. I don't see it as a negative, but people, I've seen other reviewers say this where it's like, oh my God, you got to go to the wise Native American person. No, it's like so fucking stereotypical and fucking bullshit that you got to go to this like stereotype and to get fucking knowledge and shit. And it's just because but you have to understand too, I mean, this book was made in 86. So, I mean, if you're going to be faithful to the novel, which it really is, in that respect, yeah, you're going to go to where the people first encounter it. And just so happens that fucking Stephen King wrote that it was Native Americans that lived outside of Deary, or in Deary, but then moved outside of Deary because of all the bullshit, the supernatural bullshit that was going on in their town. So, and they don't want to be a part of it. And they're like, yeah, hey, let the white fucking man fucking kill themselves and do all heinous shit to each other. We're going to fucking live out here in the woods. Thank you very much. Fuck y'all. And honestly, like I said before, I mean, some reviewers that I've seen, they have problems with that. I don't. I thought it was very tasteful. I thought that it was nice, that it was cool that Mike is the one who's telling Bill about this. Like, as I told you before, like when he had Bill come back he had him go to the library, and he is like the curator of the library. He actually lives in the library. Up on there's like, I guess there's like a guest. There's like another floor of the library where there's like a place, like a sleeping den and stuff like that, and like an apartment that he can live in, which is great, which is awesome, which I thought was really cool. And so he actually puts the hallucinogen or the peyote in his water, and so Bill can have this vision too. And he only gives him like a microdose. He's like, listen, look, man, I only microdose you. I mean, you're not getting the full on effects, okay, like I did. And he's like, what's this feeling? Bill's like, what am I feeling? But he sees the ritual too, and he sees like the meteor coming down. And he sees everything that fucking Mike saw. The meteor coming down with it on the meteor crashing down millions of years ago, after Maternin regurgitated the earth and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was great. And there's even like a little Easter egg to Maternin, because when they first go into the library, you see a turtle. It's like a stuffed turtle on one of the desks, like I think Or no. It's in the. I'm sorry. It's when Ben goes back to school, to their middle school. I'm sorry. Yeah, because Ben and there's actually an Easter egg, a turtle, a stuffed turtle, and I believe that's supposed to be Maternin. What else? I like that Pennywise called himself the Destroyer of Worlds, because that's what he is. He is a Destroyer of Worlds, where Maternin is like the creator of worlds, I'm guessing, if I'm remembering correctly. Like yin to yang. I like that. And what else? I did like that in the end, I did like it in the end that Eddie does die. Eddie sacrifices himself, but Eddie has a fucking cool ass part though, because Eddie freezes up instead of saving Richie, because you know how like I said before that Stanley's head turns into like a spider-like being, like in The Thing. Well, Ben is the one that actually fucking just repeatedly stabs the fuck out of this damn thing, you know, out of sheer horror and terror, and just like this motherfucker wanted to make sure this motherfucker was dead. Which, you know, it's not, because it's Pennywise and it's just trying to crave on their fear. But they craved on Ben's fear. But Pennywise craved on not Ben's fear, Eddie's fear. And Eddie froze up. And Beverly gives Eddie. She finds like one of the rods or pokers that they brought with them to the Neibolt house when they were kids in the front lawn, and she gives this to, and she's like, "Hey, you're gonna need. I think you're going to need this. This will kill monsters." He's like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, this weapon will kill monsters, but you have to believe it. I do, but you do too." And so he takes it, and then basically Richie gets. It's kind of cool because they go down to Pennywise's lair. Richie gets zapped with the deadlights, and then he's suspended. And you just see him like that, and it's just so funny, the look on his face, you know, just you know, and it's just, and I start cracking a laugh because he just Bill Hader just looks so fucking dumb at that point. And then Eddie sees that, and then Eddie kind of repeats what she said. This weapon will destroy monsters. This weapon will destroy monsters. And you see like the tip of it glow, like a greenish yellow glow. And he just fucking throws it, man, like a fucking javelin, man. Throws that bitch right into Pennywise's mouth where the deadlights are coming out of, and then just fucking rocks that motherfucker back. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, and then Richie snaps out. He's like waking Richie up. He's like, Richie, I think I killed it. And then like last ditch effort, Pennywise takes one of his, and this is when he's like in kind of like half Pennywise, half spider-like mode, takes one of his pincers and like thrusts it into his chest and fatally wounds Eddie. But that actually gives Richie the courage to basically take down Pennywise with the rest of them, because they're saying, because Eddie before he dies like, hey, listen, look, when I had my hands around it when it was the leper, I could feel it getting smaller, like small, like not in size, but basically withering away, because I was conquering it. I wasn't afraid. And so they're like, hey, listen, look, if we go through the passage, we can make Pennywise smaller that way physically, and then we can kill it if it's smaller. Well, Pennywise blocks off the way out, but Mike makes reference to, hey, there's another way to make something smaller on the inside, by basically taunting it and saying you're nothing, and basically Mike says you're nothing but a clown. And basically Pennywise, is about to strike him, but stops. And then Ben says you're nothing but a bully, and they just keep on taunting and saying things like, you're nothing but a clown. You're a stupid, stupid clown. You can't make people laugh. No one's afraid of you. And you see Pennywise just shriveling back to like to the meteorite that it crash land on. And it's going backwards to actually there for the ritual of Chud. There's this Native American little box where the deadlights have to go in. Well, he backs up all the way, and you see him like shrinking, and like with like last effort, he tries to latch out its teeth, and it ain't working because Mike reaches out. He's like, "You're nothing but a little clown with a heart." And he reaches, and like you see Pennywise shrivel up, and he's like, "Oh," and he had like little baby hands and stuff. And so and for a minute, for a second, like half a second, I felt bad for this motherfucker. I was like, "Oh, look at little Pennywise. He had like the Benjamin Button syndrome, you know what I'm saying? He looked like an old ass baby, shriveled up and shit, like a wrinkly old ball sack. He had like wrinkly old ball sack face. It was just so fucking nuts." And I just started bursting out laughing. And then Mike takes his fucking heart, and all of them grasp like overlap each other's hands, or grasp a piece of the heart, and they all squeeze and fucking and then that motherfucker dies. And I'm like, yes. And then the only bad thing is that they couldn't, after Pennywise dies, or it dies, like the Neibolt house, his lair kind of implodes on itself, so, or makes like this like this implosion, and so they have to leave Eddie there, because Richie tries as hard as he's crying, tries to take him with him, but they can't. They're like, "Listen, look, we gotta go." And so they make it out of the house before it implodes on itself, and the Neibolt house like sinks in down, and it's destroyed, and all the evil from Derry leaves, and it's a beautiful moment, because after that, they all of them go back to the quarry, where they, where the losers club were, and Beverly's the first one to jump off the rock of the quarry and dive down into the water and stuff, and then the rest follow suit, and that's when her and Ben, they're looking for. It's very comforting, because Richie's like crying and stuff, and you find out that like later on that Richie actually really loved Eddie. Because at one point in the movie, when Pennywise is taunting Richie, like the adult Richie, and he's trying to get his token and stuff like that, which is an arcade token where he used to play Street Fighter, the original Street Fighter, is that basically he's like, "I'm going to tell him your secret. I know your secret, Richie." And basically his secret is him being a homosexual and him loving Eddie. And the thing it's very comforting, because right before the movie ends, Eddie goes to Lover's Bridge, and you see the initials R+E that Richie initialed in there, but it's faded, so Richie goes over it again to freshen it up. And I'm like, that's fucking cool, man. The only bad thing is he never really got to tell Eddie how he really felt. That's the only bad thing. Is that and I think that they make reference that actually Richie was married, but he got divorced and stuff like that. And but yeah, that to me, I thought was really cool. That you find that out at the end. Now that's a little bit of a reverse of the Beverly and Ben situation, because they never really, because the problem is they never really alluded to it, in chapter 1 or this one. I mean, it but that's nice, but it's like they're like an old married couple, because those two are always they were always bickering at each other when they were teenagers, and then they're always bickering at each other when they were adults, when they get back to Derry. So yeah, they're like the old people from fucking the Muppet Show, and the two old guys, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I really enjoyed that. I don't really think it was forced. I think it was a happy surprise at the end. I also like too that at the end, you can tell that. Oh yeah, and this is the thing. Like when Beverly leaves her home, like after her husband tries to sexually assault her and rape her, like she gets the fuck out of there. Like she takes off her wedding ring, puts it on one of the pillars to the front of their home, and then just starts walking in the rain. I thought that was so great. And then at the end, you see her and Ben on his fucking yacht, like docked on his yacht. Ben has his dog there, and she's there, like kind of just sitting on the boat, on the edge of the boat, just sitting down, and I think that he gets her like a drink of water or something, or wine. I can't remember. And he's like, "Hey, how did you dream?" She's like, "Did you have any good dreams last night?" And she's like, "Yeah, I had." Or he said something like, "How did you dream last night?" She said, "I had one of the best dreams." And also too, what I also liked about another thing, I know I keep on saying what I like about it. Another thing that I liked about it that just popped in my head is that when she was in the deadlights, when she was a teenager, she actually saw all their deaths. She knew that Stan was going to die that way in the bathtub. And they actually Beverly calls Stan's home, and his wife says that Stan died, and she's like, "Hey, how did he die?" And even before his wife said, you know, in a pool of his own blood in a hot bathtub, she actually said that before she did. And you're like, well, how the fuck did she? And Ben makes reference to it. Whoa, I heard you say that first. Okay, you know, how did you know? How did you know that? Because basically she saw all their deaths. And she was like, listen, look, if we don't defeat Pennywise now, we're all going to die a horrible, horrible death. The same way that fucking Stan did. And at the end, too, Stan actually writes a letter that, they get like a week later, after his death, that explains, like, listen, look, I could not go back to Derry because you would die because of me. I could not go back. So I did what I had to do, and I killed myself. But I want you to live life to the fullest. I want you to promise me that you'll live, that you'll keep on going forward, that you'll defeat Pennywise and stuff like that. I don't want to hold you back. And so so basically Stan's sacrifice, Stan's death was the catalyst for them to defeat Pennywise. And now they have confirmation that Stan's death wasn't in vain, that it was a self-sacrifice that he did. He did a selfless act, a selfless service act for his friends. And I actually thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought that was great. And I loved how they did it. I mean, this is like the last scene. Or because they showed the montage of everybody, of Richie putting, re-inscripting the name, Ben and Beverly together on the yacht, Bill Denborough back home, writing, starting on a new chapter of the new book he's writing. Mike calls him, and Mike had already read his, because everyone got a letter. Mike had already read his letter, but he's telling him, hey, listen, look, make sure that you read it, as soon as you can, and hey, call me anytime. I love you, man. And Bill even asked him, hey, listen, look, why do you think that now we can remember everything now? And Mike explains to him, well, it could be two things. One, we defeated it. And he's like, or because there's so many things that we want to remember now that we do. And Bill tells him, well, I like the second option better. I think I'm going to go with that one. And then Mike laughs, chuckles, and he's like, yeah, I do too. And also too, what's great, also, when Bill gets back, because after him being in Hollywood and stuff like that, making moving pictures and books and stuff, writing books, he doesn't have a stutter anymore. Like in the beginning of the film, he doesn't have a stutter. But when he comes back, he starts to stutter more and more. And in the Jade restaurant, and the Jade of the Orient restaurant, more throughout the film, you see that stutter. More, it's like he keeps on. And James McAvoy, just in the inflection in his voice and the way that he does it, it's not a mimic. He doesn't mimic Jaden, whatever his last name is, from the first one. In chapter 1, you see like the evolution of like, yeah, this is the grown-up version. He's not mimicking it. The teenage Bill Denborough, the actor, you can see the evolution, the progression of him, even though he's regressing back to cognitively to his younger self, and his younger behavior and behavioral patterns. I like that. I really do. I think it's a grand thing that James McAvoy did, and probably the direction of Andy Muschietti as well. Directing James McAvoy, because you can have a strong actor, but if there is no direction, like fucking George Lucas with the prequels, I mean, the best thing that came out of that was Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson. More Ewan McGregor, because you had him for 3 fucking films, but he's a great actor. Where you're asking him, there's a stick with a fucking tennis ball on it, and you're asking him to act. There's nothing practical about that shit, and everything is in his fucking mind. He's having to make up in his mind. There's not a picture. There's not a puppet or puppetry. There's nothing. And that's what, and to me, that's the thing about James McAvoy and Andy Muschietti, like getting this character down and that's why having the same director for something, for like if you do a sequel, because that director, that and also writer too, they already know this shit. When you have another director come in, they most likely they won't go off the same fucking way that the first director did. They're like, well, I'm going to take it into this realm, and I'm just going to do this shit. It's like Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns, and then Joel Schumacher coming in and fucking the franchise up. With Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. It's like the Chris Nolan films, Chris Nolan trilogy. As much as everybody wants to poo-poo on The Dark Knight Rises, that's my favorite of all of them, of all 3. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, and I have a lot of appreciation for The Dark Knight now. Still not my favorite. My favorite is The Dark Knight Rises, and it probably will be. I mean, my opinion probably won't change. I'm not saying that it won't, but but you have the director, Chris Nolan, setting the tone, setting the atmosphere, setting the stage, not fucking just picking up and doing his own thing and just saying fuck all what came before, I'm moving Batman into this. No, he's just like, it's a progression of the character, of the storytelling that he wants to tell. And that's what I liked about Andy Muschietti and the adult versions of the Losers Club and the actors who played them, because for me, you could see that progression, that evolution of all of them. And that's what's so magical. When you have that, it's like lightning in a fucking bottle. But the only bad thing is that I don't think that this movie is going to make as much money as the first one. I think it's going to make less. If I'm being perfectly honest, it's probably going to make less. It's not going to equal or make more. It's going to make less. But it doesn't fucking matter, because now the story's over. Who gives a fuck? You can't do a sequel unless if we're going to do a sequel with like Ben and Beverly's like daughter or kid, son, or if they had twins, you know, or something like that. Or Will or Mike or whoever. And at the end, what I like too is that Mike actually leaves fucking Derry. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go search the sky, you know. And yeah, he just gets the fuck out of, you know, packs up a backseat full of shit and just gets the fuck out of Derry. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I don't fucking blame him, man. Because he says, I think he says, I've been in prison here for 27 years. Waiting for this motherfucker to show up again. And it's like, damn. He said he's been in prison here for 27 years. He saw him being there as a prison. And I'm just like, damn, man. I think that's what he says when he's talking on the phone with Bill. I could be wrong, but I think he says imprisoned there for 27 years. And now he's going to go search the sky. And I'm like, man, that's fucking cool. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I know I've been going on for like over an hour and 30 minutes now. Other than that, I mean, there's nothing really else that any criticism or complaints I have. I mean, the ones I already did, I went over. I'm glad that they switched things from the book in this one when they're adults too. Like I said, Bill Skarsgård, he does a better job in the first one, in the chapter 1, because less is more in my personal opinion, but that's my opinion. But you could see the executives' fingers in it, where it's like, we got to have more Pennywise. The kids love the Pennywise. Got to have the Pennywise, you know. And so, yeah. But that's, to me, that the more of the Pennywise, the more ridiculous it got, the more unafraid, and the more less fearful I was. I was just like, this is fucking ridiculous, man. You know. I mean, it was just more, the more he showed up, yeah, Pennywise, just fucking come on. And one of the biggest thing that I hated about this was the obnoxious use of loud sound as a precursor to get you fucking scared. That's one thing I really fucking hated. So whenever Pennywise was about to do something, you hear this loud, you know, it's this like loud shit. And then he makes this like jarring fucking jolting movements, these like jagged movements, and this like loud fucking noise, just oh, you gotta be scared now, ooh, shit, you know. And it's just like, that's fucking stupid, man. It's just fucking dumb. It's like, because it's a preparatory command for the audience to get fucking scared in the movie theater. It's so stupid, man. It's just so dumb. But yeah, pretty much everything else, man. I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. I saw this at a matinee, but you know, I would have paid full price for the movie. I would have went and seen it at like opening day, you know, opening night. But yeah, so yeah, but I did the matinee showing because, you know, I wanted to do the earliest showing and then do this review in the same day, so it'd be fresh in my brain, and yeah, and I could get this out. So now the total package is complete, and yeah, and now I'm gonna start winding it down because I don't have any more to say on the subject. Even dealing with the book, because I've already said most of the things that I want to say in the book. I am going to go back. I will say this. There are some things that I'm still a little hazy on, because you have to understand, there's like 3 fucking things. There's chapter 1. Okay, chapter 2 now. There's the fucking novel. And then there is, well, 4, I guess, total. I say chapter 1, chapter 2 is just one, but just to say 4, there's the 1990 miniseries. So there's like multiple sources, and like for me, I'm kind of like, didn't that happen in the book? Did that happen in the miniseries? Did that happen in the fucking movie? I don't know. Or the cinematic movie. I can't fucking remember. It's been so long. But yeah, I am gonna go reread the book, and I'm gonna chip away at it a little bit, and then I'll probably do like a Filmlites, a special about the novel of it. But yeah, I just wanted to, yeah. So look for that in the future. I got some movies. I got there's one since it's not the month of Hallows Eve yet, but it's the Eve month of Hallows Eve. But next week will be Hallows Eve, the month of. I do have a special, a horror movie that I've picked out that I think would that I would consider horror. So I watched it once before when it first came out, but I'm gonna do movie lights, thoughts, opinions, and my overall feelings on the movie. And I'm not gonna say what it is, but I just let you. I'll leave those little breadcrumbs. I mean, it's not your conventional horror movie, but I would consider it to be a horror movie because it has to deal with certain themes in society that could be dubbed as horrific in nature. So, yeah. So yeah. With that all being said, hey, if you want to be so kind, share this video with a friend or with multiple friends. That would be totally awesome. Like I said, I'm going to try to do Filmlites is here to stay. So I'm going to be doing more of these. I'm going to try to do more of these probably on a regular basis now, each week, or maybe 2 a week. I don't know. Whenever my schedule allows me to do one, I will try to do one at least once a week or once every 2 weeks. So yeah. So that's dedication to me, because it's like I'm treating this as any other job. So, and the more I do, and the more I get back into the YouTube aspect of doing things, the more I can put out more content. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you want, subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend or two, or multiple friends. That would greatly appreciate it. But as always, everyone, man, I done forgot the tagline again. Oh yeah, hey, it's love to all, God bless, and as always, you know the magic word, baby, aloha. Got it, got him.